Hey guys, welcome back for another Baker Built Sexy Time video series. This video is part of a series on the big lifts: deadlift, back squat, press, all the big stuff that may show up in your weight training program. And most likely one or two of these definitely will. So you want to be able to prep yourself before and after the lift. As a warm-up and or a cool down. These videos, the mobility is going to be the same whether you do it before or after, but the effects can be different. A warm-up is prepping your body to do the lifts, and then a cool-down use of this mobility video is going to help improve your range of motion over time and your overall flexibility. Because your body's warm, the muscles are pliable, you're going to be able to get a little more mileage out of that and expand your body's range of motion over time. But both of them, using it both before and after, is going to be huge. So I recommend both. Do whichever one you need most. If you have trouble with these lifts in any fashion because of a mobility limitation, doing this before is pretty much a prerequisite. You have to do something like this. And a cool down is optional, but a cool down, especially as we age, a cool down is hugely necessary. You need to get yourself prepped before, you need to cool down afterwards properly. So today we're talking about the press. The press, a big one. Obviously you can do it with any sort of implement: dumbbells, barbells, kettlebells, sandbags. I'm going to be discussing it today as if we were using a barbell. The press, we're just talking strict press. No push press, no push jerks here. We're just talking about strict overhead strength. There's a lot going on there, and a lot of people have a lot of limitations. In my many years as a coach, I have seen a lot of people with very limited overhead mobility for the shoulders and tremendously limited presses because of that. I know people who can deadlift 300 pounds, but they can't press 15 or 20 overhead because they just don't have the mobility to do it. And to do any more than that would put them at risk of a serious injury. So this is really important stuff here. The first thing I'm going to start with in the press is your lats and your serratus. Lats and serratus are big muscles that kind of come down and wrap around the front on the side, but they also run practically the full length of your back in some fashion, kind of wing inwards as they come into here. So really important to hit before you get into pressing, because if those muscles are tight, they're going to limit your ability to get up and really lock out weight overhead. So a good way to do that is to make use of your foam roller. This is going to be big. What I'll do is I'll just start in, kind of put my hand under my head for support, and just roll slowly back and forth. Kind of get up into the armpit region. There's always some shoulder and rotator cuff muscles back there that need some love. No doubt you'll know it when you find it. Get up, down into the rib cage, kind of roll to the side towards your pecs. Definitely we'll find something in there. Kind of get in and around the shoulder blades. I guarantee 95% of us have shoulder blades that are virtually tacked down with super glue, and they need to be able to move more freely in order to be able to do this sort of work. So getting in and around the shoulder blade is also going to be huge there. At least 2 minutes on each side, guys. If you gotta go if you're pressed for time, 30 seconds or a minute is better than nothing, but if you get at least 2 minutes, you're gonna be seeing something, especially in your cool down. All right, so we've done the lats and we've done the serratus, and now we're gonna move into the triceps. Triceps are kind of a continuation of our want to press and lock out overhead. The triceps right in here at the back of the arm, if they're tight, and if this is tight, they might very well be, I'll guarantee it. You're going to have trouble getting that last little oomph to lock out overhead. And you're probably going to wind up with the inability to get, straight back and overhead like you need to as well. So what you'll do, just lay on your foam roller and just straighten the arm out. If you're new to this particular technique, spend a little bit of time exploring. I always find some little chunky bits in there, just the nature of my triceps. And then what you can do, when you find the really tight spots, pin it down, just sort of get on that spot, and then work the arm back and forth working that trigger point through a range of motion like this is going to do a lot for getting the muscle fibers to be able to expand and contract through their normal range, and also helping to pull that, pull that trigger point or pull that knot apart, because it's being pinned by something. It's got something that's working against, that's helping to break up those muscle fibers. So you've worked your lats, you've worked your triceps. Now we're going to move into another big part of it, the upper back. Like I was saying with the lats, you can roll in through here. If you want to get, kind of both sides at once, you want to hit the upper back as well. A big part of where people tend to have trouble in the press is that we all have, most of us have this really rounded posture, and we don't sit up straight very well, Especially if you're somebody who has spent years at a desk, it's very common to get used to this position instead of being up here in a proper, posture position for when you're working at your workstation. The foam roller, along with other techniques, but today we'll talk just about the foam roller, is going to be a really big part of correcting that. Getting into this position here, starting at the bottom of the rib cage or at the shoulders, but never going lower than the bottom of the rib cage, and just rolling up and down in between, getting the big muscles, those big columns of muscles that run along the spine. It's where the big stuff kind of comes in and connects. It's going to be huge. If you hug yourself, you're going to pull the shoulder blades apart. That's going to open up more tissues. And you're really going to work into some areas that are going to help allowing the shoulder blade to move more freely and get the big muscles in your body, working for you. The press is not just about arm strength. It's some of it. It's not all of it. You got to be able to use the bigger muscles in your upper body. A lot of us don't have access to those muscles in a proper position or proper form or proper leverage for the lift. This is how you get the access to that. It's one way to do it, and it's a fairly easy one to do before and after your workout. We've worked all this other stuff. What we're going to finish with is the forearms. Forearms may not be the most crucial piece to your overhead press. It may not be what's keeping you from putting 200 pounds over your head, but it's a part of it, and you should be doing something with it frequently. You can do this. I like to do it with a lacrosse ball or with just my hand, doing some self-massage. But the forearm, pretty much this piece running from your wrist to your elbow, is a big convoluted thing. There's a lot of muscles in here. There's muscles running along the top. There's different muscles running along the bottom. They're all connected at the elbow and into the hand, and they're going and they reaching this chain up your arms, into your shoulders, and everything else. It can have some lingering effects down and up through the chain, up into here, from something. It isn't always the case, but you see these things where somebody's got a really bad thing in their shoulder and they can't figure it out, and they've foam rolled and they've mashed the hell out of it. And then they realize, oh, my triceps really tight. And oh God, what's going on in my forearm? That's really sensitive. God, that's that tennis elbow I've always had. These things build up over time, and they can have some outward effects in other places too. So to, focus on this a little bit is always beneficial. One technique I really like is come in with my fingers, thumb and middle finger or forefinger, just pinning the top and kind of getting in the bottom there, and then just rotating my hand back and forth like this. You're gonna get those muscles turning, through the range of motion that they need to for you to be able to do this. And that's gonna reveal some stuff. You'll no doubt find some trigger points. It's gonna help break up a lot of stuff you got going on in there. Do the same thing a little bit lower. Work your way down your arm until you get to the wrist. With your lacrosse ball, my favorite technique to use with this is usually against a wall or a flat surface, where I can pin the ball up against the wall with my arm and just roll up and down and kind of get in. You can pressure in between. There's two bones in your lower arm here. And so you want to be able to kind of press and get in between those best you can. For the bottom, I like to usually put it on like a tabletop or a box. And again, same thing, roll in through there. The leverage on this can be tricky, but do it all the same. If you guys have any questions, feel free to shoot me an email. But that's your warm-up or your mobility cool-down mobility piece for the strict press or just the press. All right, guys. I'll talk to you soon.